some questions, and I just wanted to talk about one other, one area of work that Jennifer alluded to, and it's a work I'm kind of taking out my moderator hat and kind of putting on another one. It's an effort that that I've been involved with, which is the African American Leadership Forum, and you can find a copy of the report on our website. But one of the things, just to give you a quick sense of what this is, it's not an organization, it's a collection of different people from the community, about 600 African American folks who really just kind of, much like you all, who said, you know, we care about various issues in our community and we're going to actually do something about it. And one of the things that this group of individuals did is broke up into what are the 4 areas that most concern us in our community. One of them was education, and within the education work was really to identify, to really take the numbers and the solutions that are coming up in communities and to kind of unpack those and identify what really makes this education gap. Is it about suspensions? Is it about, there's a lot of things that seem, oftentimes when we talk about any issue in our society, because of how highly complex and language specific it is, it seems impenetrable. So we wanted to take a stab at actually unpacking that for people. And you can find the report. It's called the 5 Gaps Report, and it really talks about some really clear ways that this that this achievement gap is either supported, endorsed, or passively and tacitly just passed on to future generations. What will come out of that, again, will be some work with great organizations to really address those. But I wanted just to point that out as a way to introduce this other thing, which is we need other language to talk about this, and not the language we often talk about education. And we, you know, it's interesting, right? In the last 30 years or so, we've been kind of talking about the various social issues and about the public will to address those as resource issues, which has gotten us to a very, very, very slippery slope, I would argue, in society, where we talked about the whole host of concerns that communities of color have with the disproportionate numbers and, you know, not graduating, going to prison, health disparities, a 20-year gap. I mean, a 20-year gap that's a powerful thing, and don't get me started because that's me. But what 20 years of actually working and 20 years of being able to provide resources for a further generation has then left us with really is also a wealth gap. But just set that all aside, because what we're really talking about, and somebody hit on it really, is about a public will as we the people owning again our society. And I think as we can start doing exactly what you talked about, which is come together, learn about these issues, and figure out what we're going to do both individually and collectively. And I emphasize the idea collectively as a representative of kind of as a society. We have to actually do some things collectively to think about everyone equally in this. But I think that's one of the areas that that I've been really particularly excited.
Back to that integration task force, you're right. I mean, I think we need to do that now, like this month, next month, start getting the word out that some really important decisions are going to be made. And unless we open the doors and go in and sit, can we sit on those meetings? Are they open to the public?
They are, and also Isaiah is organizing kind of the counter, because we know it could be set up for failure, the task force, so therefore we need a community-based.
Right. I mean, it's going to be under the radar unless people start talking about it. And that's a lot of money that we're talking. You know, I can't remember the amount, but it's just the newly appointed integration task force. It was made up of Republicans and Democrats. Both parties were able to appoint, and then the Commissioner of Education, Brenda Casilius, was able to appoint 6 members. And they will start meeting very soon. They met today. And they will have a report, a recommendation by February. I mean, that's really fast, and it's a way to get involved. The Integration Task Force, Google it, and it was in the news last week listing who is on it. Email those people and let them know what you're thinking about racial equity and integration in the state of Minnesota, and that this is a priority. I mean, it's a quick and easy action step. I mean, why did we create this pot of money? Why are we putting it out there? And what kind of society do we want to live in? You know, do we want to live in a segregated world, or do we want to live in one where people are free to make, you know, choices and have opportunities. One of the things, to them. And also bouncing off of Jennifer's response or comment about the Viking Stadium, I mean, one of the things we need to do, and that I think we can all get around, is that we really just need to invest in education again. I mean, we had this shift, the funding shift that came out of the budget agreement. I mean, that's a real blow to education. And turning that, I mean, thinking about what we need to do to spend, what do we need to spend on to have a real return, a return that we can really look forward to, you know, and we can somehow muster up the will and the creativity and the collaborative thinking to build a stadium. Can we do the same thing
I have a comment
around
on public
education?
Okay, please do
Let's
that.
pretend we're building a stadium.
Yeah.
So when will the mayor talk about black boy suspensions? When will the governor talk about black boy suspensions? When will there be a Sunday where we address, you know, the measures? When will the radio shows focus on it? If we care about it, if we believe that there's human dignity, then we put attention.
But this is
and
Paulo
priority.
Freire, who is a Brazilian educator, who many of you probably have read, Pedagogy of the Oppressed. This is the last book he wrote before he died, Pedagogy of Freedom, Ethics, Democracy, and Civic Courage. I read it every once in a while when I get frustrated. One of the basic questions that we need to look at is how to convert merely rebellious attitudes into revolutionary ones in the process of the radical transformation of society. Merely rebellious attitudes or actions are insufficient, though they are indispensable response to legitimate anger. It is necessary to go beyond rebellious attitudes to a more radical, critical, and revolutionary position, which is in fact a position not simply of denouncing injustice, but of announcing a new utopia. Transformation of the world implies a dialectic between the two actions, denouncing the process of dehumanization and announcing the dream of a new society.